In Chapter 14, you learned how to put GUI interfaces together, at least to present graphics that would represent them. And then in Chapter 15, you learned how to use event-driven programming to actually make those graphics useful and to be able to gather input from the user to control your programs in terms of mouse clicks and keystrokes and so on. In Chapter 16, we continue with this, but now introduce a number of UI controls to make it much more convenient to produce your GUI interfaces. So this chapter then focuses on the user interface controls that are available in JavaFX to support your GUI programming. These elements are things that you've become very used to by using Windows and seeing other interfaces. We've already been introduced to some of these, but there are more that you haven't seen yet, and this chapter is going to look through the ones that are most frequently used. The UI controls all inherit ultimately from Node in JavaFX. In turn, parent extends Node and control extends parent, and then from control we have all of the different UIs that we'll be looking at. So we'll be investigating all of the sort of leaf nodes in this graph, that is all the things that are furthest to the left, namely the button, checks box, radio button, text area, password, we won't be looking at password field, but we will look at text field, and combo box. Throughout all the examples we'll be looking at, the author has adopted a convention of prefixing his UI controls with appropriate letters to indicate what kind of control they are, and these are shown here. So LBL is reserved for label button. You've already seen him use BT for button, CHK is for checkbox, RB is for radio button. You've already seen some examples of him using TF for text field, PF is password field, TA is text area, CBO combo box, LV is list view, SCB scroll bar, SLD is slider, and finally MP is media player. So we'll see a number of these in the examples that we go through in this chapter. The class labeled is a base class for button base and for label. In turn, button base forms a base class for button checkbox and toggle button, and ultimately radio button off of toggle button. This UML diagram shows a number of the data members that are in the class. As I mentioned, label inherits from labeled, and here we have the UML diagram for it. Note the three constructors that are shown here. One produces an empty label, the other gives a opportunity to pass an argument as a string for the label, and the last accepts a string for the label plus a graphic to go with it. It can be convenient often to be able to combine a graphic and a label together as a single node this way.